Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it is going to be my labor and delivery story. I did try to film some clips while I was at the hospital. I think I got like 2 or 3, and then things got a little crazy and I just, well, you'll find out later, but I just couldn't film anymore, and they weren't going to allow me to film the birth anyway, so it would have just been like some pictures. So I felt like I'll just insert the clips that I have and then just kind of explain how everything went, because it was very unexpected. Hey guys, good morning. It's 4:30 in the morning. It's Friday. And today is my induction date. So I'm really tired, but I feel like my sugar's low, so I need to eat something. Here comes my dog. But I have to call in to the hospital at 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna shower and get my hair, put on some makeup, and hopefully be done. I have to pack a few more things in my bag. Hopefully be done by 6, and then as long as they're not busy, I go in at 7. If they're busy, then they'll give me a time to come in, so. But yeah, so I didn't go to bed till midnight, almost midnight. It was like 11:30, 11:45-ish, and then just got up at 4:30, so I got maybe like 5 hours of sleep. I woke up like twice to go to the bathroom, so I feel okay right now, but I'm sure I'll be tired later. But I'm like, I feel okay now, but I've been so nervous all week, just because I don't know what to expect, and yeah, I mean, it's happening whether I'm ready or not, but I had my last appointment on Tuesday, and they checked me. I met with my doctor that's going to be at the hospital today, and I was at 2 centimeters, so if I was still at a 1, I would have had to go in last night and get medicine to soften my cervix, but because I was at a 2, he said I didn't need that. I'll just come in the morning today, and they'll start me on Pitocin and break my water. So, and I get to dilate like a centimeter an hour. So I'm thinking that, I'm hoping that I have her by like 3 o'clock, because that'll give me like 8 hours. But that could be ridiculous, and I could be in labor all day long and until the night. I don't really know, but I'm hoping that it goes fairly quickly. I'm really hoping I can tolerate the pain because I really don't want an epidural. It like really freaks me out. And pain medicine makes me like loopy and nauseous, so I don't want pain medicine like through my IV. But yeah, so I'm gonna like document as much as I can. I know you can take a lot of pictures, and I'm sure I can like video when like no one's in the room, but I don't know about like the delivery, if I'll be allowed to do that. I'm hoping they'll allow me to just like keep the camera like on me, but if I'm not allowed, then I'm not allowed, but I will document as much as I can. So I'm gonna eat some breakfast. They told me, because I'm diabetic, usually you're just on like a liquid diet, just in case you need like an emergency C-section. They don't want anything in your stomach really, but because it's so early, I'm gonna have some breakfast. I'm gonna have like I bought a blueberry muffin from Walmart last night, so I'm gonna eat that and have a little bit of milk, and yeah, so I will see you when we're on our way. Almost 9:30. I've been here since 7:15. I get on my IV, and they started an antibiotic because I was positive for the strep B thing. And then he broke my water at 8:50. I thought I was gonna die. It's not funny, I did. And I didn't have a second to even think about it. He came in and just did it, so. They upping my Pitocin every half an hour. I think she's upped it twice. So, that's it. Okay, I'll give you a little update. It's 10 till 2. I got an epidural, like, an hour and a half ago, probably. I was at a 5, and I just couldn't take it anymore. The contractions were, like, non-stop, and it was just, I couldn't take it, so I got an epidural, and then they checked me, and I'm at a 6, which was, like, an hour ago. So, it's happening pretty quickly, but, yeah, the epidural wasn't too bad. It just was uncomfortable, but I don't like how it's making my legs feel like 100 sandbags are on them. It's really weird. But yeah, that's the update. It's been like a blur. Honestly, the whole day was a blur. I was like literally delirious the whole time. So I tried to remember as much as I could, and I put it in my phone so I could let you guys know how it went. So I'm going to be looking at my phone constantly just to remember like the timeline of things. But so yeah, this is actually, yesterday was my due date, which was October 11th. So on last Friday, which was October 4th, I went in for an induction. I had to call the hospital at 6 a.m. and they let me know what time to come in. So they told me to come in at 7:15. So we got there at 7:15. Of course, I was extremely nervous just because I didn't know how things were going to go. But they immediately met me at the door, took me back to the laboring suite, and I changed into a gown. They did some paperwork with me and started my IV. I forget how many weeks. I want to say around like 32 weeks or something. They test you for GBS, which is, I think, group beta strep. And if you're positive for it, then you have to have at least 2 doses of antibiotics before you give birth, just so the baby doesn't get it when it's coming out. So I unfortunately tested a positive for it. It's just like a bacteria in your stomach, but it can go through the birth canal and make your baby really sick. So they started me on penicillin. I needed, like I said, 2 doses before I gave birth. So I want to say it was probably around like 8 a.m. I got there at 7:15, so I think around like 8 a.m. The doctor came in and checked me to see how far along I was. When I had been checked the previous, so I went out on Friday, so on that Tuesday was my last doctor's appointment, and he checked me and I was at a 2. So then he checked me and I was at a 3, and it was extremely painful to be checked, but I was happy that I was at a 3, so I had progressed in a couple of days to 3 centimeters, so that was good. And then they started my Pitocin to jumpstart my contractions. I had been having Braxton Hicks contractions for probably a month and a half, so I knew what they were like. It's just like menstrual cramps, and like some tightening on like the top of my stomach. So I was used to that, so I didn't know like what a real contraction was gonna feel like. But they started my Pitocin. They told me they were gonna up it every half an hour. So the doctor kept coming in and checking on me, and he checked me again at 8:45, and so from 8 o'clock to 8:45 I went to 4 centimeters. So I was like, well, this is going good, I'm progressing. I don't think I was in any pain. I don't think the contractions had started yet. I think just the cramping was a little more frequent. So yeah, so he checked me. I was 4 centimeters. And I didn't even have like a second to think. He told me he was going to break my water. So whether I liked it or not, it was happening. And I had so many fears like going into this. I was afraid was going to happen. And like literally everything that I was afraid of happening had happened. It was so crazy. So I did not want to have my water broke because I was getting like conflicting stories. People said, you know, it was really, really painful. Some people said no, it wasn't. So I'm like, well, with my leg, it's going to be extremely painful. And it was. Not so much breaking my water, but just him having to check me and then break my water. And then he put in an internal monitor to monitor my the intensity of my contractions. So he put it up beside her head. I didn't really feel that. I don't think. It just was like so much pressure. I was like holding the nurse's hand on this side, holding Carlos' hand on this side, and I literally felt like I was gonna break their hands. And afterwards, Carlos like, I've never had you squeeze my hand that hard in my entire life. So it was awful, and it took a while because first he checked me, then he had to break my water, then he had to put the monitor in. So it was, to me, it felt like forever, and it was so painful. But anyway, so that happened. And then, so after my water broke, or he broke my water, he didn't allow me to get up out of bed. So another fear of mine was, that's not really a fear, I shouldn't say that, but something that I didn't want to happen is I had to use a freaking bedpan. Never used a bedpan in my life. I don't know if any of you have, but it's very uncomfortable. And like, the nurse like stood in there with me. Well, she had to be with me the whole time. Anyway, but it was just, it was awkward. It was just so weird. So anyway, I had to use a bedpan, so that was another thing off my list that I didn't want to have to do, but whatever. And I guess you can tell by the color of the water that she had her first poop in the amniotic fluid, the meconium, so that immediately meant I had to stay in the hospital for 48 hours because they needed to monitor her to make sure that she didn't aspirate any of it, which made me a little bit nervous, but they just said as soon as she comes out, they're going to immediately suction her, hopefully before she starts crying, so she doesn't like suck that into her lungs. So they knew what they were going to do, so it was okay, but so then around noon, he checked me again. So from around 9 o'clock until noon, I had only went up 1 centimeter, which I felt like I was progressing pretty quickly. But I guess that doesn't really sound like 1 centimeter in a couple hours isn't a lot. But at that point, so I'd been there from 7:15 until noon, and I wasn't getting like major contractions. It was just like the menstrual cramps, but it was constant. Like there was no break. It was constant, and it was so uncomfortable. I just kept like moving around in the bed, and I always felt like why do people like moan? Like I just think that it's so like stupid. Well, no, until you're in that much pain, it was like I had to moan through. Like it was so constant, the pain. Like that's all I could do was to just moan. It made me feel better. And so then the doctor had come in and asked if I wanted an epidural yet, and in my mind I did not want an epidural at all because I was terrified of the needle. Just the whole process. I had watched so many videos, which I know you shouldn't do, but I like to prepare myself. I'm a planner. So I knew what the process was, but I just did not want it. So I told myself, you know, I'm going to go as far as I can and hopefully I won't need one. But at that point, I was so afraid that if I said I didn't want one, I was going to be in so much pain later on that I wouldn't be able to get it. So I like took a couple minutes to think about it, and I told the nurse, you know, I think I want it. And she's like, well, don't feel pressured, you know, you don't have to have it right now. But I was so afraid that like in the next few minutes or you know, like in 5 minutes it was going to be so terrible. So I just said, I want it. So they had to wait for the anesthesiologist, and I think I told you I was at a 4 at noon. I'm not sure if I did or not, but I was at a 5. So I got the epidural when I was at 5 centimeters. It was like almost instant relief. It was not as bad as I thought. So they just made me. I was so nervous. My mom and Carla were both in the room with me, and they made them leave. So it was just me and the nurse and the anesthesiologist. And I'm so grateful to my laboring nurse because she was so helpful the entire time. So they make you sit back as far as you can on the bed, and then you have to like curl and put your chin to your chest, and you cannot move. And luckily my contractions, they weren't so bad that I couldn't hold still. It was just like the cramping, so it was okay. I was able to hold still. And she gave me a pillow. I held onto the pillow. She held my head down. She basically was like over top of me, like holding my head down and like holding on to me, like hugging me, like comforting me. And she talked to me the whole time. So it was so nice. I just like focused on her. And then the only way I can like describe how it felt was, this is weird, taking a bolt, like the size of a bolt, and like putting it into your spine. It was a lot of pressure. First they give you like the numbing shot, which that made me really nervous, but it was just like it wasn't even like a pinch so much. That wasn't bad. Like the pressure of, like I said, it just felt like he was putting like a bolt in my back. The pressure was bad, but I was able to tolerate it. It wasn't horrible. I did like have to kind of like bone through it a little bit. It didn't take very long, which was good, but so after that was done, they laid me down, and I could tell my legs were getting heavy. I could still move my legs and my feet. It just felt like I had like a ton of sandbags on top of my legs. But like I said, it was almost like instant relief. It was so nice. So then after that, they brought Carlo and my mom back in, and when they had left, I was like in tears. I was in so much pain. And when they came back, I was like smiling, and it was so funny. But there's no way I could have went any farther without the epidural, because the pain was getting really, really bad. I think if it wasn't like constant contractions, I would have been okay if I would have had a break, but it was constant and I just could not handle it. So yeah, I got the epidural. That was around like 12:30 when I finally got it. And then of course after that you can't get up because your legs are numb. So then they put in a catheter, which another thing I did not want to have. But I actually did not mind that because they were putting in so much fluid. I did not want to have to use a freaking bedpan again. And so it was so nice that I just didn't even have to think about going to the bathroom. So I did not mind the catheter whatsoever. So then I just like laid in the bed, and I really couldn't feel the contractions or anything anymore. So that was really good. I was comfortable. So from 12:30 to 5 o'clock, I went from 5 centimeters to 10. So at 5 o'clock, I was at 10 centimeters. And I think he kept coming in like every hour to check me, which was nice after the epidural because I did not feel the checks at all. Those are horrible. But that was nice. I didn't feel them at all. So 5 o'clock, I was at a 10. And then, so I was able to start pushing. And I could start to feel the, like the cramping again. So I kind of knew when the contractions were coming. But the nurse would tell me, here, one's coming, so get ready, and you push 3 times with each contraction. And my contractions were still like on top of each other, so I would do one, then we would wait like a contraction or two, and then I would do it again. And I pushed for 3 hours, and he kept coming in like every half an hour to check to see the progress, to see if the baby was coming down at all. She was budging a little bit, but not a lot. And after 3 hours, I was like so beat and like delirious from the epidural and the pain meds they were giving me, and just like I was like on autopilot almost. Like I did whatever anyone told me, but I was like kind of like out of my body. It was weird. It was so weird, but yeah, so I pushed for 3 hours, and on hour 2, I was like, they're going to make me have a C-section. I just know it because I feel like nothing's happening. And, like, I kind of felt like I wasn't pushing right either. They tell you to push down into, like, your butt. But when you have the epidural, it's almost like you don't really know how to do that because you really don't feel anything down there. So I probably wasn't even pushing right. I don't even know. They kept telling me, push down. And I'm like, I think I am. I really don't know. But I could do like the first 2 pushes, when you count to 10 and hold your breath and push. But by the third one, like I had no energy, and it was horrible. And by that, after like 2 hours, they were making me push on every contraction, so I literally got no break, and it was so tiring. There was no way I could go any farther than 3 hours. So the doctor finally came in. It was 8:30, and he's like, okay, she's really not budging. I'm going to give you one more chance, so you need to make it count. So push as hard as you can, and I'm gonna cry. Hormones. What the heck? I think I'm just kind of sad because I couldn't have her natural. I don't know. I was like so delirious that, like, when they told me, well, anyway, so, okay. So he told me, you have one more chance, and after that, unfortunately, she's not budging. She's too big, or she's gonna get stuck. So you're gonna have a C-section. But I was like literally so out of it that, I pushed as hard as I could, and she didn't budge. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it chugging along. I'm sorry that I'm like hormonal. These literally, the hormones after having a baby are like insane. I thought the hormones were bad before. Well, like when I was pregnant, I really wasn't like that hormonal at all. But like, oh my gosh, it's like terrible. You like are happy one minute and then like so sad and want to bawl the next. So bear with me. Anyway, so the last ditch effort to get her out was at 8:30. It did not work. So he said, unfortunately, she's not coming out. We're gonna have to do a C-section. And I was so tired and so exhausted. I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I think I was like so like in the moment of pushing that I didn't realize the epidural had wore off, because as soon as the doctor like left the room to go, they had to get paperwork ready and to, tell everyone to prep the OR. The pain was so incredibly bad. It was worse than before I got the epidural. And the nurse had come back in, and I was like, I need something else. I need more in my epidural because I can feel everything and I can't handle this. I was like rolling in bed, like moaning. It was horrible. And they just kept telling me, they're prepping the OR, they'll get you more stuff in the OR. And I was like, I just can't handle it. I need something right now. So I think like probably like 5 minutes went by, and it felt like half an hour because I was in so much pain. They brought the anesthesiologist back in, and he put more medicine in my epidural. I think he did it twice. He put more of whatever the first thing was, and then he put whatever they were going to use in the OR in, which made me sick. That was another fear of mine, because they tell you you get really, really nauseous and could throw up when you're in labor, about ready to have the baby. And my nurse even told me that, when you get closer that she's coming down the birth canal, you'll get like extremely nauseous. And that's like a fear of mine. I hate being sick. I want to be by myself. I don't want anyone near me, but I just felt like I was going to throw up. And I was so like out of it, but I knew I felt like I was going to get sick. So I was like, I need a basin. I'm going to get sick. I don't think I ended up throwing up. I think I just dry heaved a few times. But they came and got me. It was like a few minutes before 9. And they made Carlo and my mom leave the room. And they gave Carlo scrubs and stuff to put on. Then they made them leave the room. They went into the waiting room. They took me into the OR and got me prepped. And I don't know if you've ever like had surgery or anything. I've had stuff that I had to be put out before, but it's like as soon as they bring you into the OR, it's like 10 people on top of you, like doing different things, getting you prepped. And it was like crazy, and they don't like explain anything because they're trying to hurry up. And especially, it wasn't an emergency, but like she wasn't coming out, so they were like obviously trying to like quickly get me ready. So they like pull your gown up. They put I think iodine, betadine, something, and like scrub your stomach. And then they like strap your arms down, and from the medicine and the epidural, you're like shaking like uncontrollably. So they like strap your arms down and they put oxygen on me. And I'm like such a claustrophobic person that I was like, that's another thing that I did not want to have a C-section, because I was so afraid I'd freak out. Because when I had other surgeries, I was put out. So like as soon as they strapped me in, I was like out. But you're like awake for your C-section. You're kind of like out of it, but you're still awake. So I knew everything that was going on, and I was just so afraid that I was like literally gonna have a panic attack. But it was okay. As soon as they they strapped you down, they put the what's it called, the blue, like, I don't even know what it's called, like the draping, so you can't see what's going on. And then they brought Carlo in so he could sit by me, and so he was just talking to me, and it made me feel better. I was like distracted and didn't know what was going on. And then so the anesthesiologist was like standing like right here, and I guess they were ready. So the doctor said, you're not going to feel any sharp pains, but you'll feel a lot of tugging and a lot of pressure. I was like, okay. So then the anesthesiologist is like, okay, go ahead. And I'm assuming that is when he cut me open, because the anesthesiologist was like looking over, and I didn't feel anything, and he's like, okay, she's good. So I didn't feel it. I'm assuming that's when they cut me open. I don't really know. But yeah, I was like so out of it and so tired. I don't even remember like really how long it took, but I know it felt like it took a while. Like he kept like tugging and pushing, and I think he was having a hard time getting her out. I don't know, but yeah, so Carlo was sitting, they gave him a chair. He was sitting like kind of behind me, and he said he had like the shoe covers on his shoes, and he said for some reason he thought his shoe was like untied. I don't know. But so he said he looked down, and the second he looked down, it was just like a gush of like blood and fluid that like fell on the floor, and he's like, oh my god. He like, I don't think it bothers him, but I think it kind of like freaked him out a little bit. So they didn't tell me until after I was I think back in like our regular room, that I had lost a ton of blood. Like basically I like hemorrhaged on the table, and which explained why like later on I felt just like so out of it. I was so tired. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I felt like I was literally out of my body. I was like completely white, and they had started me on aspirin at the beginning of my pregnancy, and that was the thing that freaked me out. I'm like, if I take aspirin, I've never taken it before, but if I take it my entire pregnancy, and then even with like natural birth, like, am I gonna like hemorrhage? And they're like, no, no, no. Well, it did. I don't know if it had anything to do with the aspirin. I think that it did, but yeah, so I lost a ton of blood, and they were talking about giving me a blood transfusion. They drew my blood twice. Once, as soon as I got back from recovery, they drew it, and then they drew it early in the morning. And they said if my levels kept dropping, I was at like a critical, my H&H was like at a critical level, and if it dropped any further, I was going to have a blood transfusion, but it stayed the same, so they felt like I was okay. I didn't need one. I didn't end up getting one. But yeah, so many things happened like unexpectedly that it was like insane, the stuff that was going on. So then another thing that freaked me out was having like being like sutured up and having the sutures removed from my incision, my C-section incision. But they and I could tell he was like stapling me shut, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was out of it, but I knew what was going on, and I just thought, oh, those are gonna hurt so bad coming out. But they're internal, so they just dissolve, and all like the sutures and staples are inside, and then they just put steri strips on the outside, so nothing, like everything dissolves, nothing needs to come out, which I'm so thankful for, because that terrified me of having those being removed, just freaked me out. So luckily I had to take the steri strips off after 5 days. They told me if they didn't fall off on their own, I had to take them off, so I just took them off the other day in the shower. A couple of them were kind of painful because they were stuck pretty good, but it was okay. I got them off. So anyway, so she was born at 9:55. They like put her over the drape so I could see her, and I could barely keep my eyes open, but I saw her really quickly, and then they had Carlo go over to the warmer with her. He got some really cute pictures. He was over there with the doctor, and then they gave her to him to bring over to show me. And then they took him, I think they took him back to the nursery while they were like suturing me up. And then they took me to the recovery room, and he was there with her, so we were all together in the recovery room. I think we were in there for like, I don't know, maybe a half an hour. They let me try to breastfeed her, which she just wouldn't latch, so that was okay, but we just got to snuggle with her. And then so yeah, she was born at 9:55. She weighed 9 pounds 15 ounces. She's 21 inches long. So they estimated that she would be 9.5 pounds, and I didn't even think she would be 9. I just kept thinking she's going to be a little under 9 pounds. But here she was, basically 10 pounds. And they told me since they pulled her out and took her over to the warmer, she pooped. So they said, you know, she was basically 10 pounds because she pooped out an ounce. So it was like the joke that she was 10 pounds, definitely. If they had weighed her before she pooped. So basically she was 10 pounds. And then so born at 9:55, we didn't get back to our regular room until 12:30, and like my family was waiting. They had been waiting all day long, and then waiting in the waiting area, and I felt so bad because it was so late. But they came in, they wanted to see her. They didn't end up leaving until 2 in the morning, and that first night we got no sleep. No sleep at all. We were in the hospital from Friday morning until Monday afternoon, and we basically didn't sleep at all because she didn't sleep. She did not like to sleep in the little crib. She wanted to be held. So of course we're holding her, we're awake. We got like no sleep. It was crazy. The nurses would take her for a little bit back to the nursery so we could try to get some sleep, and it just didn't really work because they kept coming in and checking me. And that was another thing. they would come in like every like 15-20 minutes to check on me because I had lost so much blood, and they were taking my vitals and everything, and then they would be changing the pads underneath me, and every time I would move or like try to help like lift up so that they could get the bedding out from under me, I would gush blood, and I didn't know that it was blood. I thought it was just like fluid and stuff from the C-section, but here it was blood. Every time I would move, like roll or like lift up, I would gush blood, and they're like over top of me. Like, should we call the doctor? This isn't normal. She's losing a lot more blood. So they ended up calling the doctor, and in the middle of the night, they got me into a wheelchair. It took 3 of them because I couldn't even stand. I was so delirious and tired and just so incredibly dizzy from losing all that blood. I couldn't even help them. So it took 3 of them to get me into a wheelchair. They wheeled me down the hall into a different room and put me up in stirrups, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just went through a C-section. Like, I don't want to do this, but I was just like out of it. And here there were a bunch of clots still inside. Apparently was causing all of the bleeding. I don't really know. I don't know how many clots that they got out, but they asked the doctor if they wanted them, like all of it weighed. So I'm assuming they got like a lot of clots out. I don't know. That was kind of painful. I could feel him pulling the clots out. But then, in like a few hours, I was not bleeding. Like, I was not gushing blood anymore, which was nice. But that was kind of scary. And I was so incredibly dizzy, so that was making me sick again. I'm like, I need something because I'm nauseous, and it was just like insane. I was in pain from the incision. I was nauseous. I was dizzy. It was just like, can anything else happen? Honestly, I was like miserable. Yeah, so that was basically what went on with me. So then what went on with her was they checked her sugar, and her first sugar was okay. They like it to be above 40. I think it was like 42. And then the second one, I don't remember like how long they had to wait before they got another sugar on her, and she was down in the 20s, which was extremely scary. So they wanted me to give her formula so that we could get her sugar back up, and it worked. Her sugars were staying like in the 40s, and then went up eventually into the 50s, and she was fine. So she only had that one scary sugar. And then they ended up, they took her vitals and my vitals frequently, and she had a little bit of a fever. So they were drawing labs on her to make sure she didn't have some sort of infection. And the doctor said it was probably from when they took her out of me, getting her over to the warmer. Somehow she got something on her. I don't know. That's how she spiked a fever. But in like a few hours, it ended up coming down, and she never did have a fever again. So that was good. Sugar was good. Then I thought that they had checked for jaundice, like when she was born. But apparently they don't check until like 24 hours later, and her levels were high, but not high enough that she needed to be on a light. So that was good. They said that they were going to check her again when she was 48 hours old. They did, and her levels were still, I think they checked it, and it was like 11.5. No, it was 11.2. If it was 11.5 or higher, she would have to be on the light, but it was 11.2, so she didn't need the light, so that was good. And then they ended up, they weighed her again. I think they weighed her like 48 hours, and she was 9 pounds, 11 ounces, so she had lost 4 ounces, which that's, I guess, usually what happens. They lose a little bit of weight, and then a week or two after they're born, they're back up to their birth weight, so nothing to worry about. They do a hearing test. They say a lot of babies fail it the first time because there's still like fluid and stuff in their ears. So she failed it the first time in the right ear. They did it again 48 hours later,
before we were leaving, she failed it again. So we have to take her back in a month to get it checked. They said that's not uncommon. There's probably still fluid in her ears. So more than likely, in a month, she'll pass it and be fine. So I'm not real worried about it. She can hear fine. So I'm hoping that, yeah, it's just the fluid. But, yeah, so I'm just recovering from my C-section. I was in a lot of pain. I was alternating Motrin and Tylenol. They gave me an option to have, stronger pain medicine, but pain medicine makes me sick, so I did not take it. And they had sent a script to my pharmacy. I did not pick it up because there's no point. It will make me sick. So I've just been alternating the Motrin and the Tylenol, which the first couple of days we were home, I was in excruciating pain. Every time I would stand up, I would just bawl because I hurt so bad. I had to walk like bent over like I was like 90 years old walking to the bathroom. And then like when I would try to sit down on the bed or on the couch on a chair, Carlo would have to help me up because I was in so much pain. He'd have to help me change my clothes, help me, just help me a lot because I was in so much pain. And he did so much. Like, I felt like I wasn't doing anything, but I really couldn't because I was in a lot of pain just trying to, like, recover. So he took over, and I'm so grateful that he's home for a month with me, so that's good. But, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, so it's a week later. I still have the pain is just, like, on the left side. I'm hoping that it goes away in like another week, but I'm able to get up by myself. I'm able to walk around. I feel so much better. So yeah. So much happened that I did not expect. I literally didn't use like anything from my hospital bag because I just literally laid in bed for 3 days. I couldn't even barely move. I didn't need anything. I ended up getting a shower there. I changed into pajamas. That's basically all that I used out of my hospital bag was my pajamas. But I think I'm gonna do a video like showing you. I basically told you I didn't really use anything, but letting you know like what I did use, what I didn't use, what I didn't need, things that I did need because I didn't prepare for a C-section. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this labor and delivery story. It was kind of intense. I went through a lot. So many things that I did not think would happen happened. Things that I wish didn't happen happened. It was just such a crazy 3 days in the hospital. And it's crazy that we've already, it's been a week already. She's a week old. So it's so crazy. Time's flying by. But yeah, it was intense. So... But I did want to go get her and show her to you, introduce her to you, so let me go get her. So, I just got her out of her bed. She's tired. So, this is Oakland. I call her my little sassy girl. Because sometimes we get a little sassy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, I haven't actually like said her name to you guys in any videos, but like on social media people will like comment her name, so I'm sure you've probably seen it. Or I think in the nursery tour her name was out a couple times, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, her name is Oakland. So when we were trying to find names for a girl, I really like the name Oakley, but I already knew like a couple Oakleys, so I was like, I don't want to do that. I want a name that like, I don't know that like, someone else has it. So I knew that I wanted to use my mom's middle name. First I wanted to use it as her middle name, but we couldn't find like a good first name that we both really liked. So my mom's middle name is Lynn. And she spells it Lynne. So I was like, why don't we just, like, instead of Oakley, why don't we make it Oaklyn? And, like, as soon as I said it, I was like, that's so perfect. And I told Carlo, and he's like, oh, I love it. So pretty early on we knew what her name was going to be. It was going to be Oakland. And then the middle name is Marie, which is my middle name and also my grandma's middle name. So she has my mom's middle name and her first name, and then mine and my grandma's middle name as her middle name, which I just thought was so perfect to make it like family. Yeah, so she smiles in her sleep. It's so cute. And she has like little dimples. It's so cute. So yeah, so this is Oakland Marie. And she's 1 week old. Huh. And she really likes to sleep. Obviously, she's a newborn. She likes to sleep during the day. She'll sleep in anything. And at night, she will not sleep. So we are trying to figure out a schedule. But yeah, I'm going to do like a lot of videos. I want to do like vlogs, like day in the life with a newborn, like the first week, how she's changed, what she's doing. I just want to do like a lot of videos. So I just wanted to show her to you. I have pictures on my social media. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I have pictures. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Oh my goodness. So hopefully you enjoyed my labor delivery story and meeting my daughter. And we'll have a lot more videos to come, so please subscribe. I would love to have you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.